Hey, before we jump in, a quick word. If you're here because you want complex stuff broken down into insights that actually make sense, then you're in the right place. Go ahead and subscribe to Insight Engine because what we're about to cover, it's the perfect example of why we do what we do.
All right, let's get right into it. For years, all eyes have been on Silicon Valley, right? OpenAI, Google, that's where we thought the action was. But while we were all looking one way, China has been quietly, methodically building the single most ambitious AI program in history. And this isn't some far-off dream. We're talking about a plan so huge, so well-funded, that a lot of experts are now saying they could blow past the US before this decade is even over. So, how are they pulling this off? Let's break it down.
So, you might be asking, if this race was so quiet, what made it suddenly get so loud? Well, it all goes back to one single event, a moment that literally sent a shockwave through the entire tech industry. Picture this. It's January 2025. Everybody's still talking about the usual suspects. OpenAI, Google, you know the names. And then out of nowhere, this small, kind of unknown lab in China called DeepSeek, they drop a new AI model. And nobody saw it coming. The results? They were absolutely staggering. See, this wasn't just another small improvement, it was a complete game changer. It performed at the same level as GPT-4, the best the US had to offer, but it did it for a fraction of the cost. And here's the real kicker. It used far, far fewer of the high-end computer chips that America was desperately trying to keep out of China's hands. The fallout was just immediate, and it was brutal. We're talking nearly $1 trillion wiped off the value of American AI stocks in a single day. The message, sent from this tiny lab, couldn't have been clearer. We don't need your tech to win. So, the trillion-dollar question is, how on earth did they do that? How is that even possible? To get it, you have to understand China's biggest advantage. It's their secret weapon, really. And it all comes down to one word: data. Just try to wrap your head around this number for a second. 1.4 billion people. Every single one of them generating just an unbelievable fire hose of data every single second of the day. And look, in AI, data isn't just a nice to have, it's the fuel, it's the lifeblood. The more data you have, the smarter your AI gets. It's that simple.
And this data isn't scattered. It all flows through this massive, interconnected ecosystem. You've got WeChat for basically everything, from talking to your friends to paying your bills, Alipay for all your financial stuff, Baidu for search, TikTok, of course, and all of that is layered on top of these huge government surveillance systems. What you end up with is a training data set so big and so detailed, there's just no way any company in the West could even come close to matching it. But, having all the fuel in the world doesn't help if you don't have an engine and a roadmap. You need a plan. And this is where China is playing a totally different game than the West. It's not about letting the market figure it out. No, they have a detailed, top-down, government-ordered blueprint for total AI dominance.
Way back in 2017, the Chinese government put out this document, the New Generation AI Development Plan. And let's be clear, this wasn't some friendly suggestion. This was a national order, backed by hundreds of billions of dollars. The goals were spelled out for everyone to see. Make huge breakthroughs by 2025, and by 2030, become the world's #1 AI innovation hub, period. And they basically handed out assignments to their biggest tech companies. They told Baidu, you're in charge of self-driving cars. Alibaba got smart cities. Tencent was tasked with medical AI, and it goes on and on. Think about that. It's not a competition between companies, it's a completely coordinated national team effort. Now, the US saw this freight train coming and tried to slam on the brakes. They started what everyone's calling the chip war, basically banning the sale of the most advanced chips to China. The tiny little silicon brains that power everything. But it backfired, big time. Instead of slowing down, China just slammed its foot on the accelerator to build its own chip industry, completely independent of the West. And when I say they hit the accelerator, I mean it. They are pouring over $150 billion into this. Just think about that number. The goal here isn't just to catch up. The goal is to build a fortress, a supply chain that the United States can never, ever threaten again. And we've got to be clear, this isn't just about making better smartphones or apps. The military dimension here is, well, it's huge. China's army, the PLA, has gone all in on AI. We're talking about autonomous drones, AI-powered cyber warfare, massive facial recognition networks, even systems that try to predict social unrest before it happens. Military experts in the West are sounding the alarm, saying China's military AI is advancing faster than anyone's ever. Of course, all the money and data in the world means nothing without the brain power. And China is building a talent pipeline on an industrial scale. Just last year, in 2024, their universities turned out over 50,000 new AI researchers. That's more than any other country on the planet. It's a tidal wave of talent. But here's the really ironic twist in all of this. Where did a lot of these brilliant minds get their start? At top American universities. That's right. The US essentially trained the very people who are now going home to build the systems designed to outperform it.
Okay, so the plan isn't just to dominate inside their own borders. That's just phase one. Now, China is exporting its entire AI playbook, its technology, its infrastructure, its vision for the future to the rest of the globe. They're doing this through something called the Digital Silk Road. And it's working. Right now, they're exporting this tech to over 80 countries, and the number is going up every single month. And what are they exporting exactly? Well, it's the whole shebang. The fundamental building blocks of an AI-powered society. We're talking physical infrastructure, advanced surveillance tech, entire smart city operating systems. And while the US is tied up in debates about how to regulate AI, China is out there doing it. They're setting the standard and quickly becoming the go-to AI partner for most of the developing world. So when you put all these pieces together, the data, the money, the government plan, the global push, it all boils down to one final, really crucial question. Because this isn't just another tech race. This is a race to decide what the next century is going to look like. Just think about the last 50 years. The United States gave us the internet. It gave us the smartphone. It pioneered modern AI. These weren't just products. They were inventions that fundamentally rewired our world and defined an entire era. So that brings us to the big one, the question we have to ask. After everything we've just laid out, the sheer scale of the data, the master plan from the top, the relentless global expansion, is the United States about to lose the single most important technological race in all of human history to China? And maybe even more importantly, if it does lose, what happens then? What does a world built on a foundation of Chinese AI actually look like? What does it mean for your privacy, for your freedom, for every single one of us on this planet?